We present to you Lowland International newspaper headlines for the day with in-depth analysis from seasoned professionals. Start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
This is your number one talk news and sports station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. It's a fabulous morning, rainy morning, I gather, across Lagos today. It's pretty wet. So if you're driving, be safe. While you listen to us take you through the stories that made it to the front pages across the dailies today. You're welcome. We're live on Facebook. We're also on YouTube at Nigeria Info FM. You can watch us there live. You can also listen to us, take us with you anywhere you go on our website, nigeriainfo.fm. We're also on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. Follow us and also leave us a comment with the hashtag Frontpages or the Morning Crossfire. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. You're welcome.
And I am Sheriff Quadry. Good morning to you, Lagos. We have Gbolahan Olojede joining us on the program this morning. Gbolahan, good morning to you.
Nice to be here again.
It's good to have you. We have the Daily Sun on the table, the Vanguard, as well as this day newspaper.
And I have here the Guardian newspaper, our media partner, also the Daily Independent, the Nation, as well as the Daily Trust. What story makes it to the first today? Few Nigerians control collective wealth, says Buhari on the Guardian. And this has two riders. Urges made in Nigeria solutions to nation's woes. How to build a strong economic future by Peter Side. You find this also in The Guardian today. And if you check other papers, including the Daily Independent, the story is here. Nigeria's prosperity in the hands of a few, says Buhari. 94 million Nigerians currently live below poverty line, according to a report by Oxfam. This is on the Daily Independent. The story also makes it to the Nation newspaper banner headline, Way Out of Economic Crisis by Dangote, Sanusi and others. Atedo, Salami, Kuka, Awoshika list options. Buhari urges experts on homegrown solution. Banner headline of the Daily Trust. Few people in 5 states. Oh, even brought it down.
That's right.
Few people in 5 states control Nigeria's wealth. Wow. This is the president saying this. 94 million Nigerians poor, says Oxfam. Our population is a liability, says Sanusi on the Daily Trust.
That's right. Looking at Daily Sun this morning, Nigeria's poverty situation worsens. Right as Oxfam puts 94 million people in extreme poverty. Nation's wealth in hands of few. Buhari, Daily Sun is the paper. Moving on to the Vanguard right now. At 25th NESG, few people in 5 states, FCT, own Nigeria's wealth. Buhari, that says we must promote inclusiveness for collective prosperity. Nigeria's population a liability, Emir Sanusi. Vanguard is the paper. If you'd like to read, pick it up and read further. Analysts back Buhari's call for homegrown solutions to Nigeria's challenges. Targeted reforms, top decisions needed to fix economy, says Ahmed. It's coming from this day newspaper.
I have a big smile on my face. I was looking through the story to see if the 5 states were mentioned. Let's read the story from the Daily Trust.
We can guess the 5
We can
states.
guess.
Yeah. Right.
Would Lagos be?
Obviously. Our tiny Lagos houses about 20 million people, over 20 million people. That's probably slightly more than 10% of the entire population of the country. It's on this less than 4,000 square kilometers of land.
So imagine where the president was saying this. He was addressing delegates at the opening session of the 25th Nigeria Economic Summit in Abuja. And let me quote him. It says, a significant proportion of Nigeria's prosperity today is concentrated in the hands of a few people living primarily in 4 or 5 states and the FCT. Next line. Some of the most prosperous Nigerians are here in this room.
Of course. They were there. Of course, Aliko Dangote was in that room. So there's no doubt about the fact that some of them were in that room. It's a true statement, and I like the fact that it's coming from the president. What we might want to do further is to see how we can persuade these Nigerians to do more, to help us do more. Because they actually can without diminishing them. See, the top 1% earners in the United States pay close to 40% of the entire tax paid in that country.
Right.
1%. Can we begin to look at the possibilities of things like that even here? They can pay without diminishing.
I want us to interpret, try. Maybe we might not get the interpretation right. Let's try and interpret the statement of the president. How does it sound? How does it come across? Few people in 5 states, FCT, own Nigeria's wealth. Is that supposed to be vindictive? I mean, if you are mentioning
I think it's just a reality.
No,
but he's saying they're controlling. It sounds like they got it illegally or
exactly.
something.
I don't think...
Because it says that leaves the remaining 31 states with close to 150 people in a state of expectancy and hope for better opportunities to thrive. Is this not pushing the buck?
I don't think that he was presenting that comment from the perspective of indicting them as, having hijacked the state. That is not what it was trying to
That's what it sounds like to me.
It looks likely. So here is the writer here, says we must promote inclusive for collective prosperity. Are you blaming them
for being rich?
For the huge poverty level in the country?
Let's flash back a little bit. Or let's backpedal. Some times ago, a president had said, how can they say Nigeria is poor? The event he went to, he saw several private jets. So the prosperity of individual few was being interpreted as the prosperity of a nation. Essentially, that was what happened around that time.
Right.
This country has been struggling with the issue of inclusiveness for a very long time. If you listen to the narrative from Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, it was one of the biggest worries of the administration around 2013, 2014. That look, we were even doing 7%, 6% growth, but we can see it in the people. So a few people are getting wealthier, and more people seems to be going into poverty.
Whose fault is that?
It has worsened dramatically. It's a systemic problem that we need to address.
Who should take responsibility for
It's
that?
the leader.
As the government.
It's the leader.
So why are we making it so? I don't know how to interpret it.
This does not
really,
proffer any solution. It
because
just says
I don't know
it's
why
what
the
it
president
is.
made that statement. I'm
What are we
trying
going to do
wrap
about
my-
it?
Exactly.
Are we going to take their monies
it.
from them and then share it?
There is
That
probably
can work.
Why did he make that statement?
Maybe he wants us to be aware, because a lot of people
didn't
might
know.
not be aware.
Oh, really? They didn't know they were poor, or they didn't know some other persons were rich.
They probably didn't know that much is concentrated in the hands of that few.
And what this alarmingly could do is to make the alarmingly proportion of poor people begin to target these few people. Because what I expected the government to do is say, okay, this is a problem we've identified, and this is how we're going to tackle it. Like you said, maybe make them pay more tax.
Right,
But if you just shift all the attention from the government to these people as if they're holding the whole country ransom, I'm not sure how nice that is.
I hope it is also not the press that is presenting it because I didn't see it from that perspective.
I quoted the
putting
president.
them in a sport, trying to say these are the people holding your money, make una go grab them. I don't think that was the intention.
Well, that's a possibility though, but I'm worried if all the papers then reported it that way. All the papers.
Could it have been a mistake on the part?
It is better to actually quote the specific speech of the president. Yeah, that is it, rather than the caption given to it by the newspaper.
I read some of the quotes, but let's talk about this homegrown solution that the president asked for.
We must look inwards. You see, when we go back to how the World Bank and all the other people measure prosperity, a lot of times we may miss it. We need to do what you call the shop floor evaluation, in which we actually look at the realities in our environment beyond the numbers.
Okay.
Because there are some big numbers that could be thrown around all over the whole place and could be confusing. But when you go to the ordinary man on the road, it's like the rice issue, for example.
Right.
I remember I said, look, if we really wanted to test, well, maybe that has changed now, I don't know. If we really wanted to test if the prevalence of the Nigerian rice, it is not by what CBN says, it is by the market. So when you walk into Edo market, you can actually see what are the rice that have been offered.
I think it's funnily striking home because
Yes, I think so.
finally I ran out of rice.
Exactly. And when you go to the market, you will see the Nigerian rice
I was
everywhere.
so scared. I just bought a little portion of it. I can't even bring myself to cook that thing. It looks. I don't know.
It is
guys,
probably much richer than that one.
I'll tell you guys when I
imported.
finally taste it.
Talking about homegrown solution, and the president saying we need to look inwards and provide solution from within. And analysts like Josiah will say that the first protocol is to provide stable power. You cannot bring about solution if you don't power the economy.
Yeah.
So who is the president talking to here by providing solution from the home front?
Let me throw in some other comments that Dangote made. Solutions. He said the government must, among other things, decongest the ports, expand rail network, tackle smuggling, implement gas master plan, entrench responsive bureaucracy. Also, the founder of Stanbic IBTC PLC, Atedo Peterside, also made some suggestions. He called for the trimming of personnel overhead on account of a bloated headcount in the public sector.
Yes.
So most of these homegrown solutions actually lie with the federal government.
The solutions have never been the problem. This event happens every year.
That's right.
And all these things are said every year.
And they come up with a communique. There is a litany of solutions that are propounded in each of this summits. So the question is not whether it's homegrown or not homegrown, is that there are solutions by the people who are right here in this economy who have been there, done that.
Right.
We're not implementing. That's the simple problem.
Why? Why are we not implementing?
Political will to implement a lot of those things are there. Is it not insane that as of today we don't even have a look at how many things we truck out of our ports? Is it not part of the problem with the road? If you fix Apapa Road today, and it becomes like Dubai route, and all we have is those huge trailers continuing to use that road the way they are using it.
It will be back to
2 years down the lane. We will be back right here.
Right. Let's see this next story from The Nation. Unilag probes, quote-unquote, Randy lecturer. Church suspends Don. This story makes the round. It was also up for a chit-chat this morning. Daily Trust, sex for marks scandal. Unilag lecturer Boniface suspended. It's also in the Daily Trust. I think all the papers have it. Sex for grades. Unilag suspends Randy lecturer. Foursquare Church relieves him of pastoral duties. It's the banner headline of The Guardian. Outrage as sex for grades scandal rocks Unilag. Institution shuts down cold room.
Cold room.
Yeah,
you know
so
what
it actually exists.
Dr. Boniface described a cold room where stuff happens. You know? And I'm glad it's been shut down. But you see,
I mean, they're just going to move off campus.
Cold room.
It's a very disheartening development, but it has been there for a very long time.
Right.
It's been there
Like forever.
forever.
Right.
I remember that way back in, I think that was 88, that I had a colleague who was about to be kicked out. I went to Ife. In Ife in those days, once you cannot sustain 1.0 GPA for 2 consecutive semesters, you are out.
It's non-negotiable.
It's not negotiable. So a lot of people, by the time you finish celebrating matric, a few weeks down the line, you are already probably warming up to also get out of the system. It was as bad as that. And even way back then, things were already happening.
Right.
And I had I knew of a student who I met when she came to check her results, and she said she was only looking for someone who could move her from a paper she had a D to get a B, that if she gets a B she will stay.
That's just putting another circle on that D.
And guess what, by the time the school resumed, she stayed.
Oh wow.
I don't know what happened, but she stayed. So these things have been there forever. Now in these days where we can record, where there can be secret cameras, we need to do more in that space and bring people who are involved in all these things into the open.
Right.
It's something that needs to be
do you think indecent dressing by ladies on campus play any role in all of these occurrences?
Indecent dressings has always been there. It will always be there. If you don't want it, even way back, I knew lecturers in my department, if you dress improperly to their office, they will tell you to walk out.
Absolutely.
Improperly dressed.
Absolutely.
So if somebody dressed improperly to your office and you ask her to sit down
To
and you
move
grab
closer.
her, and then you are the one that has a problem.
Right.
Indeed.
Perfectly said.
Let's quickly move on to our next story this morning. And this one, it's a big one. It's happening today. 2020 budget, FEC okays 700 billion naira National Assembly increment. You heard that right. As Buhari presents a preparation bill today, just above the nameplate of the Vanguard newspaper. You can pick it up and read further if you are interested in that story.
It's also here on The Guardian. Buhari presents 11 trillion 2020 budget to National Assembly today. It's also it's on the Daily Independent. FEC okays 10.729 trillion as Buhari presents budget to National Assembly today. Let's tell you that we will be covering this budget presentation from 2 p.m. That means Hard Facts will start earlier on today at 2 as we bring you live coverage of the budget presentation. And tomorrow morning on the Morning Crossfire, we will then analyze the budget that was presented. Well,
the presentation is usually an overview of the entire document, which is a huge document in itself. But I know that after the presentation, there will be a lot of analysis and dig down into the details. I'm hoping that this time around, it will be a document that is more reliable and more useful than it has been. There are a lot of things in that budget that anytime I pick it up, I'm like, what's the point? Because you see items that are obviously cannot be implemented, either because there is too little funding being put on it, and you're like, so what's the point?
right.
Or if you see the long list of insertions by the National Assembly, it's embarrassing, to the document. When the document goes in there,
they have the right to, insert, and they take that liberty.
Maybe they have a right to insert. I don't know. I think that is something that still needs to be cleared in the
You know
courts.
that caused some kind of confusion.
Exactly.
You know?
It's still an unclear space that we
Right.
need the court to declare categorically that they can insert or not.
Right.
That would mean the executive would need to take them to court, but
Yeah.
they've not done that. So
Well, we
looks
miss,
like
we
they're,
miss
they're okay
people
with
like Gani Fawemi in this kind of a space who can take things that are not even his own issues, but take
That's
it to
what
the court. so that
Serap
the
has
court-
been doing in the past
Yeah,
few
Serap
weeks,
has
really
also been
making
doing
it,
that.
yeah,
A
taking a
lot in
lot
that
of
space.
institutions to court.
Yes. Those insertions goes beyond the fact that maybe they have right or not. When you look at those insertions themselves,
Are they necessary?
are they necessary? What about the pricing?
Can we afford
Anyway,
all those things?
let's keep some things.
Yeah, right. Tomorrow morning, once the budget is presented today, it should begin at 2 p.m. Remember, we have a live coverage for you on Nigeria Info. As usual, also make sure to join us from 2 p.m. Hard Facts will be starting earlier today with Sandra and Akoko. So you should listen to that live presentation.
11 trillion looks bigger
Yeah, it's fatter now than when we started.
Than it is. But you see, the way I've tried to look at our budget is to convert it to dollars. And when you convert it to dollars and try to take a decade view, it might not be a significant.
Well, now it's one thing to present a budget
Yeah.
of 11 trillion naira. It's another thing to tell the people how you intend to fund this budget.
The budget will tell us.
Where the money will come
Yes,
from.
there's
But
a revenue side, and it will tell you how much you come from. How much you come from.
We've
Cost
had
of living,
inclinations in the past weeks
But
where the money will come
all
from.
these will be projections.
Yes.
All of these things will be projections.
Yes.
They have projections that are backed up by policies to drive those projections into actualization.
Let's take for instance. wait, because we're making it look like the projections will come to fruition. So let's talk about the taxes that are
Yes.
being introduced right now, or should I say promoted right now.
Yes.
For instance, the tolling system. For instance, the what's the other tax again?
The VAT.
The VAT increment that the Senate is even proposing that
A
let's not go that
communication
way. Let's go
tax.
to communication services, tax. And we don't know which one will be implemented.
The budget
we
will
don't know
show
if
it.
all of them will be implemented.
By 2 p.m. today, we'd know.
The budget will show it. The details
And
of
there
the
was
budget
a FEC
will show where
meeting
those money will
yesterday.
come from.
After that FEC meeting, there was no briefing. So our correspondent who was standing by throughout, they didn't say anything to the press. It looks like they're holding, they're trying to cover hush. But 2 p.m., everything will come in the open, so we can wait.
Absolutely.
For all of us, the national budget is a public document, please. Anybody who desires to see the details, you can go to the website of
Yes.
the budget office, and you will see
It must
the
be
document
there.
there.
It must be there.
The total detail, assumptions, everything will be there.
There. But at least later today, we should
Right.
find it.
Let's quickly take a look at this. Another big headline. Minimum wage NLC asks FG to put smiles on workers' faces. Lagos workers push for 50,000 naira minimum wage.
They should be clear. Putting a
That's
smile could just be a
Daily
comedy
Sun.
show. You would smile.
Labour gives FG states October 31 ultimatum to pay new minimum wage. Are we looking at a potential disaster right in front of us?
Yes,
They promised a showdown.
It's been there for a while. Even before 30,000 was approved, I saw this
coming.
And that is because of the revenue situations of the people that are going to make this payment. The federal government that has even been making mouth. In the last few days, I listened to the Minister of Labour, and he was saying something about, we need to find 500 and something billion naira to be able to make this payment and all the rest. Maybe we may need to downside. Those statements are already in the air. You saw those statements.
Yes.
And that was the federal government that had been saying, we will pay. We don't have a problem. I see the problem is coming just from the states. Now, as at today, there are still states that are owing salaries being paid at 18% minimum wage, 18,000 naira minimum wage.
So when you move it up to 30,000.
When you take it to 30%, 30,000, and then you do the adjustment to all the other people, where is the money coming from?
Quadry Fayemi said that it's been agreed that all states will pay 9% increments. The Labour is saying, nah, you are not talking to us. 9% for what?
That's not going to work.
So invariably, it looks like, we should be bracing up for another industrial action.
Like a deadlock somewhere.
It's because we a lot of time we sleep on matters. As at the time negotiation was going on, how we will be able to pay should be part of the discussions as well.
Exactly.
Not that you arrive at the junction of this is how much you're going to pay. Then you start looking for how you're going to pay them. Then while the federal government has done a bit in the space of weeding out ghost workers, most states have not done much in that space. There are a lot of people who they've never seen who are still collecting salary in those places.
Some people take salaries from local governments. They're also working in the private sector. They're here and there.
We've even had permanent secretaries who were living in Abuja.
So we have wastages
in their own state.
everywhere.
They're permanent secretary in their state and also collecting money from Abuja.
Jonathan.
Okay.
So Gbolahan, again, there are drain pipes everywhere in government. We're not looking at plugging these drain pipes. Instead, we're saying the government is saying we might just have to downsize.
So the government is the one that has the responsibility to do that. Get rid of those ghost workers. Get rid of wastages. A lot of wastages. I was in a public office some times ago, and I got there about 9:30. As at 9:30, 4 out of the 8 seats were empty.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And then, of the 4 that were seated, only 1 person was working. After about 30 minutes, a woman brought out a bowl of jollof rice.
Oh, shit.
Till I left close to 12 o'clock.
She was still
eating.
It's called genge.
So
she took her time to cook it. She needs to sell on the meal.
All those problems are there.
Let's read some comment from WhatsApp. I have a comment here from Blackwell who says, good morning, Crossfire crew. Whether a student wraps herself like an Egyptian mummy, a Randy lecturer is a Randy lecturer.
That might be an attraction.
Being wrapped up.
Yes.
Right. Shagu says, good morning, Wemimo. Please eat the local rice. It is good and nourishing. I'll try it. Don't worry. I'll come tell you guys when I just couldn't bring myself to, actually, Peter from his hole on WhatsApp says, Buhari is full of explanations, blame game and incompetence instead of proactive ESS and responsibility, and that's why Nigeria is a mess. Says some from Facebook. Aderinsola Adeni says prosperity of a nation is measured by the value of people in the nation. Population is a good asset to the nation and not a liability.
It could be a liability.
It said the problem of is the sincerity of purpose to the people and the nation. Vincent Favor Chikodi says the government officials and political elites would not downsize their own pay, but that's of the workers. Off from Facebook, let's take just one comment. Delicious Cupcake. Wow, what a handle. Says, I just finished my OND program full time, so I know what I'm saying. I think she's talking about the sex for grade. Yes. Joy Forever says, if the same way we are mobilizing against sex for grade is the same way we are doing against worsening security, bad roads, estimated billings, and bad governance in general, hope we will all wake up. Thank you all for joining. I
We
think
didn't talk about that amnesty thing on this day.
right.
Very
Right.
nice.
Yeah, okay. Let's say the headline. 2 months after Sokoto Zamfara Katsina courts
Count
counts
gains.
gains of amnesty for bandits. Attacks have subsided. 477 hostages released. 218 guns, including AK-47 SMG, surrendered. Kaduna, others yet to implement deals. So quickly, you think this is working? Remember, the Borno government
it's
also
working, but we have to be careful. Amnesty, is that the first time that word is showing up in our
Nope,
space?
nope.
No.
Nope.
So we have to be careful what we reward, because what you reward has a way of increasing.
So more people will just
It's almost like
get-
you're rewarding your failure as a government.
And if I find more people who find it attractive, they're going to banditry, hoping to be
Exactly.
granted amnesty.
Exactly.
Right.
And
All right,
paid, and
folks.
paid monthly stipends without doing anything.
And the Borno State government also recruited some prayer warriors in Saudi Arabia.
They've gone far ahead to. They've gone far
We are
ahead
clowns
to.
in this
They've gone
country.
far
I
ahead to
can't
also
believe that.
to also employ about 1,000 ninja hunters. They said those
Oh,
ones
wow.
can disappear and reappear.
For real?
Yes,
For real. I mean, we're going all out.
We are importing marabouts to come and
Oh, goodness. After the break, we're talking about the toll gates. Will the toll gates return? And if they do, what will be the impact? We're heading over to Abuja, to Port Harcourt. And one of our correspondents is also standing by at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway at that toll gate. We'll be taking reactions from there also. We'd also like to take your comments. Join us again just in a moment. Many thanks to Gbolahan Olojede for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I am Sheriff Quadry.
We'll be back very soon. Stay here, please.
More talk, news, and sports after this.